Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. And in this series of episodes, we're going to look at a remarkable love story. But before we get there, we're going to look at some other characters who also played an important part in the mid-century history of Poland. And I'm delighted to have with me once more in the studio my colleague Adam Starzyński, our expert in all things historical and Polish. Adam, thank you for joining us again. Antoni Pajdak.
Yes.
Our starting point for this remarkable story.
Yes, you already revealed that we will be talking about a love story later on. Antoni Pajdak is the father of the woman that is the heroess of this love story. His daughter, Wiesława Pajdak, married a man named Jerzy Śmiechowski after getting to know him in a Stalinist prison where they got engaged. Having never seen each other. They only shared messages using a little metal pin that they used to communicate with Morse code. They were sitting cell to cell. So they never saw each other. They only sent messages through a wall and in that way got engaged to each other. But before we get to the love couple, we'll start with the father, as his role explains why Wiesława ended up in a Stalinist prison. Antoni Pajdak was a socialist leader. However, he was one of those that was not liked by the communists. He had been fighting for Polish independence throughout the Second World War and never agreed to Soviet domination over Poland. If we look at his upbringing, childhood, it was clear that he was born into this socialist movement. His father had himself been very active in those circles. And from a very early age, Antoni Pajdak, who was born in 1894, in 1910, as he was 16 years old, he started taking his first steps, joining the so-called Riflemen's Association of Józef Piłsudski, the father of modern Poland, so to say, who was organizing these paramilitary units that he believed that a war would break out, and he was right. The First World War broke out 4 years later, and he wanted to form some kind of nascent nucleus of a future Polish army. So Antoni Pajdak, he joined up, and when the war broke out in 1914, he had already received some military training, and he was sent off to the Polish legions that fought with Austria-Hungary in the First World War. Once there, he got even deeper involved and joined the so-called Polish military organization, which was a clandestine organization, you could say the secret service of these Polish legions. And their functionaries were spread out through all 3 partitions. So they were active in Austria-Hungary, they were active in what was the German Empire at that point, and they were active in Tsarist Russia. He himself was involved in setting up the units in the Lublin region of the Polish military organization. By 1917, as most of the other officers of the Polish legions, he had to take a decision when Józef Piłsudski refused to swear an oath to the Austro-Hungarian emperor, the so-called Kaiser crisis or oath crisis. Landed Piłsudski behind bars, and his military officers in the legions, they had to take a decision whether to swear the oath and continue fighting in the legions or disobey. Pajdak was one of the men who disobeyed, and he was forcefully sent to a different front, to the Tyrolean mountains on the border with Italy, and fighting in horrible conditions, many thousands of meters up in the mountains in freezing cold. He was one of the soldiers who survived that ordeal. And after the war ended, he started preparing for the next Polish war, which was the Polish Bolshevik War of 1920. He received training, but he was never actually sent to the front. The war ended before he got involved. In the interwar era, he started climbing through the ranks. In 1922, he joined the PPS, the Polish Socialist Party, the party of Piłsudski, but from which Piłsudski had at that time drifted away. And there was this tension between the PPS party and Piłsudski throughout his time in power. Relations worsened drastically after the 1926 May coup, when Piłsudski returned to power and took it in a military coup. However, the PPS party, despite being against Piłsudski in the late 20s and early 30s, they still recognized that he was one of their own. And that was at least where he had his roots. Pajdak himself was more and more involved in politics. He became the mayor of a small city named Radomsko in 1928, served as a mayor for 2 years.
Adam, as usual, the clock has defeated us. I'm going to have to stop you there, but we'll pick up the story next time. There we are. Yet again, time has defeated us, and I've had to interrupt Adam almost in mid-sentence. He'll be back next time on Poland Daily History to continue the story, and I hope you will join us. Thank you for watching.